my beta review of Warhammer 40K Dark Heresy. Let's not waste time and let's go. This won't be a classic review where I'm gonna rate the game through segments, give it scores and whatnot. This is beta review, so you can expect my honest opinion about the current state of the game and its huge potential. The very first thing I wish to speak about is the story, the overall approach on everything and how it resembles Rogue Trader, what are the similarities and what's completely different. So, in case of a rogue trader, you were in role of a rogue trader. Here, you work for the Inquisition as an acolyte. So, you were the main guy in rogue trader, and here you just obey orders. Does it make it much different than the rogue trader? Yeah, it does. You feel more like another cog in a wheel, and it really feels like every choice that you make will matter. This game will offer at least 4 different runs with different outcomes. The biggest part and the new part as far as the story goes is a detective mod. You can consider this like Disco Elysium rammed into a CRPG, so a full adventure mod into a CRPG. It's done very well. You make your own conclusions, you find those that are guilty, and then you make a report and you judge them. This is a phenomenal approach, it's very innovative, and it's great to see something like this from Disco Elysium inside a CRPG. The next thing that I wish to speak about is writing. It feels even better than in Rogue Trader. This game feels even darker, more grim. It's definitely the most complete Warhammer 40k experience that you can get. Writing is just phenomenal. And now comes the best part. The entire game will be fully voice acted. This is huge and it adds to the immersion like crazy. Voice acting is also phenomenal. Now I can compare how it used to be with Rogue Trader Beta compared to the Dark Heresy Beta. Dark Heresy Beta is 10 times cleaner than Rogue Trader Beta. 1000 times less amount of bugs, more polish, it works better, and for the full release I believe it's gonna be optimized to perfection. This is a better looking and a better working game overall in every single aspect. It seems that Owlcat learned a lot through all of their mistakes during Rogue Trader phase. Now, plenty of people also ask how long is the beta, how long will be the main game. We don't know, but I can presume, considering that it took me 40 hours to beat the beta, and beta covers only Act 1. We know that prologue is missing, that's like additional 3 to 5 hours. Act 2 and Act 3 that are usually double or triple the size of Act 1 in Owlcat games. Okay? And then some shorter Act 4, Act 5, as it usually goes with Owlcat. So, for unfair difficulty, on the first run, we can easily say that this game will be 80 to 120 hours, depends on who's playing the game, depends if you listen to all conversations and whatnot, plus the amazing replay value. This is gonna be an extremely huge CRPG, about the similar size as Rogue Trader, but in my opinion with a bigger replay value. What about the difficulty? Plenty of people complained how Rogue Trader is quite easy and unfair, and I was among them, okay? I would say I was the first in line who complained about it. This time, it's drastically different. This is a harder game than Rogue Trader. It requires more knowledge, more mechanics, different team setups to beat some spots. Like, overall a much harder experience, but of course the game will also offer easier mods to play on. So once they add unfair, you're gonna have from custom story all the way to unfair to pick from. It's gonna be extremely good. Now, user interface is very similar to the Rogue Trader, map, everything that you can imagine, inventory, like all of that practically remain the same. It just looks a tad bit better, or should I say it looks more crisp. And as far as the graphics go, there's definitely a visual upgrade, more detail, like more artwork. Everything is like Rogue Trader, but this time it's on steroids. And now comes the most important part, and that would be gameplay. I'm gonna try to explain how it used to be in Rogue Trader. You roam around, you encounter a fight, you know there's gonna be a fight. Fight usually doesn't have an objective. It's usually wipe all enemies and move forward. Wipe them 3-4 times, encounter a boss, move forward. In Dark Heresy, there's an ambushes, there's surprises along the way. Every fight has an objective. To put it up short, for example, Ersimus fight, Confessor Ersimus. When you think it's over, when the chandelier drops, bam, here comes the Chaos Spawn. Survive or break the chandelier, you got 5 rounds. Lartier quest, you think how it's gonna end up in conversation, you wind up with ambush. During that ambush, there's a unit that calls reinforcement if you don't disable it. During Bastion Serpentis, Lord Inquisitor puts a challenge on you. Do not kill enemies, capture them. During, for example, the demon you see here, the boss phase here, there's multiple ways to resolve this. He casts a fire circle around, you can't exit, and you gotta deal with the boss by triggering these skulls, candles, and so on around him so you weaken him. For example, during the Mechanicus 3 fight, you can pick whether you want to kill Corrupted Adeptus Mechanicus or you want to save them by surviving rounds while you trigger the generators. In Marisportum Sectoris, there is an escort mission where you can pick what you want to do with Derkus. And then you can also pick which side you're gonna take on that same quest. Same applies for the Baron. There is always some objective during fights. Not a single fight is just fight enemies and kill them all. There is always some objective, and that's extremely good for the gameplay. It's innovative, it offers extra challenge, and it forces you to switch the team comp. Now, all companions in the game will matter. You need to switch them non-stop, from combat to combat, if you want a complete success. So this is one extremely good part of Dark Heresy. It makes you think out of the box. It makes you think along the way. You cannot abuse the single character or the single spell anymore like you could do in Rogue Trader. Is it fun? It's really fun. And it's gonna be even better on a full release. Of course, as in Rogue Trader, again we have reputation with different factions. Trading works better now. You pay with coin, but again you need reputation so you can buy stuff from them. Inventory is very crisp and very similar to Rogue Trader. Consumables, armor, boots, gloves, amulets, rings, double slots for weapons, and that's about it. There's also convictions, but this is all work in progress. I don't want to speak way too much about it. You can go with a full God Emperor Chosen, or you can go as a complete heretic, or something in between, or you can align with Xenos. Like, again, work in progress. I don't want to speak about it. Should be great. It all depends what Owlcat decides to do with this. As far as leveling and itemization goes, there are some changes in characteristics. Now, when you level up, when you used to level up in Rogue Trader, when you level up skills, it's usually for exploration outside of combat benefits. This time, when you level up skills in Dark Heresy, you're gonna pick whether you wanna do it for the combat or for the exploration. Why do I say so? Reflexes, resistance, tenacity, metal, medicae are for combat, and you gotta pay attention what you wanna do. Some characters will have to be there for skill checks, while some characters, for example tanky characters, will benefit a lot out of tenacity and resist during combat, and they gotta max it out. which leaves them no options for stuff like interrogation, intimidation, diplomacy, and so on. So squishier characters will have to do, classic checks, awareness, wit checks, lore checks, and so on. Now the archetypes, so far, pretty much the same like in Rogue Trader, but this is beta, and I guess we're gonna see a lot of changes for the full release here. At least 5 more additional classes with God knows how many subclasses and whatnot. This is gonna be bloody huge, and it's kinda ungrateful to talk about it during beta, but considering this was beta and you had so many options during leveling phase is actually phenomenal. Now, what is actually also new are abilities, or should I say, how you pick your modifications here. So, when you learn an ability like you used to do in Rogue Trader, this time you can enhance ability. Okay, every ability can be enhanced. Think of it like gems in Diablo, where you insert them into sockets. So these are abilities with sockets where you put modifications inside. And every modification will give some additional effect to the spell. For example, bring it down gives action points. Okay, when you insert a modification, you will be able to remove bleeding, burning, and toxic effects from the ally. Some of the modifications will give crits, some will give extra damage, some will give bigger burst, some will give bigger AoE, some will give extra defense, extra endurance, extra this, extra that. It really depends, but modifications will change every single ability and how it works in a game. So there's gonna be a bigger build variety than in Rogue Trader. Now comes the companions part. How do they feel compared to the Rogue Trader? I've seen a lot of comments how companions don't feel as unique as in Rogue Trader. They don't feel as good and whatnot. And people keep forgetting about that this is beta and they actually don't remember. I remember alpha state of Rogue Trader, beta state of Rogue Trader, and pre-release, full release, and whatnot, after patches and so on, how companions actually developed. Okay, same story goes for the Dark Heresy. Even though people don't feel connected to these companions, that's completely normal. Why? Like, out of 11, 12 of them that you can see down here, this is unfinished. Discordance, Stuma is unfinished. Hypatia is unfinished. Plenty of them yet don't even have full voice acting, but those that do, for example, Sarv, Chorda, Rambo, Kag, Lartir, they feel phenomenal. You just need to connect with them. How do you connect with them? When you play the full game. You can't do it in beta, but they do feel deep, they do feel satisfying, and they will be as unique as companions were in Rogue Trader. I guarantee that. Can they match Cassia, Argenta, Ulfar? Maybe. If not, it's not a big tragedy, okay? You have a different game with completely different companions. What I truly believe is that companions will be straight up phenomenal for the full release, and that's the bottom line. Same applies for the NPCs, they're extremely unique. Lord Zerb, the main Inquisitor, Sister Septima, Millicentilia, even though it was beta, I already remember the names and I remember the faces, which is extremely good thing. Which means also that NPCs are memorable. If I can do it like this from my head and insta remember, that means it's gonna be a good game. When I play a game and I forget everything about it in the first 24 hours, that means it was a mediocre experience. This is everything but mediocre experience. The game is extremely memorable. Every fight, every encounter, every conversation, when it's memorable, that means that it's good. It means that it makes some, influence on your mind while you play. It has affection, and it has an effect. Dark Heresy definitely has a huge effect while you play, and that's a big deal as well. What about music and sound? Nothing beats the main theme of Rogue Trader, but main theme for Dark Heresy is also extremely cool. As far as the other music goes along the way, it's Same like in Rogue Trader. Atmospheric, phenomenal, catchy, has the vibe of Warhammer 40K. I got nothing special to say about it. Voice acting is phenomenal. Sound effects are phenomenal, considering it's beta. Everything is crisp. Now for my final thoughts, because I see people complaining about combat because they need to switch companions along the way, they need to strategize, they need to plan. They don't like it as much as Rogue Trader and so on. They don't because it's harder, because they have to think. Okay, because there's multiple ways of how you can resolve combat right now. They also don't like it because there's a lot of puzzles. There's the detective stuff. There's absolutely like a lot of innovation, a lot of new things in a game, and that's the reason why they don't like it. Okay, people like simple stuff. I love it because it's different, because it's innovative, and because it's brave to do something like this in 2026. And I highly advise Owlcat to go how they want to go with this game and to stop listening to people that complain. Create a game and make it innovative. This is what's actually needed. I don't want to play another Rogue Trader. I don't want to play another Dragon's Age Origins. I don't want to play the same games over and over again. I want innovation. And for freaking sure, Dark Heresy offers innovation. Bloody hell, it has three main hubs: Bastion Serpentis, your ship, and this area where I'm currently at in Bastion Serpentis, this mini area here where you get to trade. Three main hubs. That's innovation. You feel like you're an agent of the Inquisition. Inquisition feels huge. It feels important. They nailed it. Also, my final advice as well for the upcoming acts, fights, and whatnot. Be even more innovative, even more surprises, even more challenges. When you fight a boss and you kill a boss, ram another one. Okay, immediately while everyone is injured. That's how you surprise the players. By different objectives, by ambushes, by things that you cannot expect. Okay, and when you expect a big boss fight, just give a conversation. That's how you do it. And as far as I can tell, Dark Heresy is doing exactly that. It's surprising the player from start to finish. It's very good for beta. I believe it's gonna be brilliant on a full release, and that's my final verdict. I won't score the game. We're just gonna wait. And to be honest, I can't wait to play the full release. I can't freaking wait now, because I loved it. I loved every minute of beta, even though it's completely unfinished. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.